Okay, cool. I think we might be live. All right, let's have a look. Let's double check that everything is working. And we'll check audio, and then we're good to go. Okay. That's it. Cool. Let's look. All right, let's have a little look. Live. All right, so it says I'm live. That's good. Let's check audio. Yeah, I hear something. Cool. Okay, yeah, audio exists, and the chat exists. Cool. Very nice. All right, sweet. So we are live on YouTube instead of on Twitch. So just gonna stream straight to YouTube, see how that goes. Let's work on this a little bit. I guess I'm hoping that this is going to record automatically. Fingers crossed. Okay, we'll just do a little bit, and then if it doesn't work, we can figure that out and try again. So what I was thinking was, instead of just messing with the effect itself, so last episode we basically had finished adding the blue sparks and rings to the orange sparks and rings, and we'd added a gradient. If we just scroll back through the effect, we'd added a gradient to the blue ring, which I'm on the fence about. I'm not sure how I feel about that one. I don't know if it's that great. So I might go back and adjust that slightly. We could make a nicer gradient with a vector image or whatever, we'll see. So if we look at this, these are our orange sparks coming through. We've added some sort of drippy, lava-y type effects to that. We're then switching out to the blue ring. We have blue sparks. We have this shimmery blue portal gradient thing going on, which, as I said, I'm not 100% on, but doesn't look that bad. Okay, so let's just restart that. Yeah, okay, so this is just quite a long effect at the moment. I'm not super stoked about the way that it's layering together. There are more things that we can add, but for this episode, let's do a couple of things. First of all, I think it would be good to just have a little bit more context about what's going on, right? This is our enemy. If we just add an empty parent to this, call this enemy sword. We do have an animations folder. Okay, cool. So I am just going to create, let's just create an animation for this guy. All right, so for our enemy sword, let's just move that guy up. We're just going to have our enemy sword swing at our player character. I think that would be wise, and then that's going to give us context for the timing of the impact of the effect, and then the timing of the delay of the dissipation, things like that. We might make everything way quicker once we see in context that it needs to be that way. Let's change the pivot point here from center to pivot. That's going to allow us to position our enemy sword a little bit better. It's just a local as well. Okay, so we're just going to change this so that when we move our parent, we are moving the sword around that pivot point, right? That's kind of cool. And then we'll move our parent object to be a little bit better position-wise. Okay, that's cool. And it's just rough, but it is going to give us a lot more context to work with here if we get this sword to swing at us, right? So let's say we start over here, and then we're going to grab the sword and grab the right guy, yep, and just swing through, and that's going to be our animation. Might be easier said than done, Unity's kind of finicky, but let's just go for it. Right, so we're going to create a new animation clip. Make sure we have our enemy sword selected, say new animation clip, say enemy sword swing, and it's in the animations folder, which is great, okay? And then the easiest way to do this, if we're just blocking stuff out, is just to hit record, move your sword ever so slightly, jump to, let's say, 1 on the timeline, and go all the way through this, and then in theory we have our sword coming through like that. Okay, cool. So if we just hit play, you can see we just got a very slow sword swing as it comes through, right? So I'm going to do a couple of things here. We're going to set it up so that we have a mixture of things happening. We've got an animation, and then we also have a kind of trigger for our effect. We're going to have 3 different ways that we can trigger our effect for debugging. One is the enemy swings a sword at us. Another is we just press a button and that triggers the effect. And then the third is going to be triggering the effect in slow motion, so that when we're playing the game, if we just play the scene, when we hit a button, it slows the time scale of the scene so that we can see the whole thing go off in slow motion, and we can kind of just assess whether our effects are popping off nicely. So yeah, this is just highlighting those keyframes and moving them down. It's going to give us a faster swing. Swing, 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 swing. All right, already that looks a lot better. We're going to do another thing. I'm going to add an empty and call it sword collider. I'm going to add I would like it to be a trigger, so I'm going to add a few things. I'm going to add a rigid body. I'm going to add a, let's go sphere collider, why not, just because that's going to be kind of nice. And I'm going to center it towards the end of the sword here, somewhere in this sort of area. Could be kind of cool. Oh, that's way off. Just try and position this. This doesn't have to be perfect, but I would like it to be at least kind of. Okay. And let's just make it a little bigger as well. Okay, so this is where we're going to apply our code. I think that would be a good idea. Okay, something like this, because if we have it pop off just as it hits, like perfectly timed, it's going to be a little bit too precise. We want it to be, if it goes like exactly when it goes, it's going to kind of look like it's passed through us before the block triggers, and we kind of like the block to trigger a little bit quicker, right? This will help us out. Okay, cool. All right, what else do we need? We're also going to need, make sure that we're not using gravity. Swing, 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 swing. All right, cool. And then you can see this comes through. And this is definitely going to collide with our player and trigger our blocking. Cool. Okay, we can kind of see that we might need a whole effect to be bigger. So just doing that makes me go, oh, okay, what's going on here? It's like the scale of this is changing depending on the camera position. So we're going to need to go in and edit the size of those particles, what they can be. Okay, that's cool. Let's get our samurai sword there. Let's just add a collider to our sword. Cool. And just make it a little bigger. Cool. Oh yeah, I'm streaming. Okay. So. Alright. And I'm going to set that to trigger. set this one to trigger as well. Okay, cool. Very nice. And I think it would be cool to have it set up so that we can trigger the enemy to swing the sword, and when it collides with our sword, we can trigger our blocking animation, right? So let's just turn this into a prefab. We can update this later, so there's no need to stress about that. We're just going to drag the whole thing in. It is now a prefab, and we have overrides. If we adjust the effect, we can update them here. If I, for example, was to pause this guy, can I do it quick enough? That's the question. Okay. If I was to make a change to this, for example, this kind of it being variable size when we get there, change the max particle size to be really large so that it doesn't change when our camera zooms in. Right? That's kind of cool. And that is a change that we've made. So if we go to our overrides, our parent object, we can apply those changes to the prefab, and it will update the prefab in our folder. The reason we need it to be a prefab is if we want to be able to instantiate it at runtime, it needs to be a prefab that exists in our world. So let's say that we're going to add a script to our sword so that when it gets hit, it blocks. That could be a thing for now. So I'll jump over to our scripts folder, right click and create my behavior script. We'll call it blocking. Yeah, just blocking will be fine for now. And let's wait for it to compile and chuck it onto our sword. Obviously we would kind of arrange this slightly differently if it was a real game, but at least for now I would like to do some stuff where we actually integrate the code with the stuff. Okay, cool. So go to that. So really all we want here is a couple of bits. We want a serialized field. Hello. Thank you. And that's going to be a game object. It's going to be our blocking effect. And it's going to be the prefab of it, which is cool. And we are going to say on trigger enter. I'm not going to worry too much about telling Unity what the other object is for now. We're trying to detect that. We do want to instantiate do that. Okay. It's weird that it's just kind of giving me some stuff but not other stuff. Let's create a... Oh, that's also wrong. Yeah, the AI helping is not helping particularly. It's kind of getting in the way. There we go. That is something I want. Okay, so on trigger enter, we are going to set our blocking instance to... There we go. So we're just going to instantiate our prefab inside there, and then we're also going to destroy it. Why? Yeah, I want that. I don't want to set up a function. Go away. God, it's really it's trying to help me so much. Okay, so if I just do that and then just go with that. Yeah, that comment explains what I've done there. So I'm just going to call destroy on my blocking instance after a couple of seconds just to clean up so I don't end up 100 instances of this blocking effect cluttering up the scene. It is going to instantiate at my position and rotation, but I think I want to not do that. I mean, I guess it's not the end of the world if that is the spawn point, right? Okay, if this is my transform position right here, then that's where the effect's going to spawn. It's also going to spawn at that angle though, which I don't love. I mean, I do want it to be facing that direction, but I don't know if I want it to be turned like that. It'll be interesting to see. Let's see what it does if we do that. Okay, so that's fine. That's on trigger enter. We don't need anything else specifically for that. This is not happening. Game object could not be found. Okay, let's get that. What is wrong with this right now? Using the engine. Okay. I don't know what the deal is with Visual Studio Code. Okay, yes, I guess we are missing a user, but why is it not telling me? Still missing using assembly? Okay. Using generic. The engine. What is going on? What is happening with this? Okay, this is going to be a kind of going and setting up Visual Studio Code. Just changed so many things recently, and I'm gonna need to, I think I need to reinstall a bunch of stuff. Yeah, that's annoying. Okay, well, let's just have a look at don't need any of that for now. That's fine. Weird that it's not telling me that it's missing stuff here. I'm trying to remember what using tags. For some reason they've removed all the generic using tags from everything. Let me just ask ChatGPT since I've forgotten. And then this gives us an opportunity to demonstrate how ChatGPT works with Visual Studio Code. For some reason they got rid of support for, yeah, I mean, that's what I thought, but is that not gonna, is it still not happy with that? They got rid of all of the support for Visual Studio, so everyone has to switch to Visual Studio Code, which is fine, but it's just not set up correctly, and it's just a pain in the ass. Alright, let's just check that that's not happy. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool. So, the only error that we have is that we haven't stuck our prefab in there yet, which is what I expected, so that's good. And the using tags we were missing were the ones I was trying to put in. It just hadn't updated. Whatever. Okay, so basically, in theory, this should work now. If I turn that off, it probably won't work quite the way we want it to, but it does work. Okay, so now when that sword hits, we do get a blocking effect instantiating, right? It's repeating over and over, right? Our animation's looping. Let's stop that, right? Go to animation, find the animation clip, and say loop time off. That will mean we just spawn one instance, right? Cool. And I think it's really useful because we can totally see from what we threw together last week that the timing is totally off, like ignoring the fact that it's actually oriented incorrectly. But that is interesting. Okay, so rotation wise, let's have a little look. What we're doing is we are instantiating at our position, but with the rotation of the object, right? Quaternion dot identity. Let's just give it our going on with IntelliSense stuff right now? Like it wants to help me with AI, but not with IntelliSense. Annoying. Okay. So what that does. Okay. Like to me, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that it's spawning with the direction of this guy. I mean, I could change the direction, but it's kind of cool that whichever way your sword is facing, the block actually triggers in that direction. So let's just shift our sword. Rotation. Let's just see what happens if we just do that. Yeah. So I think that's cool, right? It's kind of cool that it goes in the direction that the sword is facing. Let's just turn the sword back in. Let's just move. I mean, the only issue I can think of with this is that our position, we kind of want it to be offset slightly in a direction. I'm going to say forward on the Z, because we want the block to be in front of our sword. I mean, at the moment it's right in the middle. Okay. See that? I mean, it looks kind of cool. I'm looking at the game view now. It's kind of cool that it's coming right off there, but it is literally right in the middle. And I think it would be better if we just grab it if it was slightly in front. Okay, so that is, I mean, that's something we can do. Let's just set up a let's just make it back to 3. Wait, it's not going to give me anything. Okay, let's call that a spawn position. And I know it's kind of odd, we just kind of got rid of our start and update, but I don't know, we're kind of doing it. We can add it back in, like so. Let's say it's going to equal a new vector 3. Is this just me? I feel like, isn't vector 3 a capital? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Okay. It's going to be transition.x. And it's going to be Z plus a little bit. It kind of knows what I want. Let's just see, if we just do it before we make an adjustment, we'll be able to see how much we want to move it forward. Cool, grab the effect. So we are at 0.7, we want to go forward. Okay, apparently that's negative x, okay, that's fine. So we want to go minus, what are we saying, like 0.3, 0.3, something like that. Kind of fudge it. Okay, so we want to go minus 0.3 to start. Okay, so we're taking our transform position, we're reducing that. That's going to be our spawn position. That's our spawn position. And then rotation we're okay with. I think it could actually be kind of a cool, happy accident that it spawns in that way. Whenever you're ready. Okay, that's happens. Okay. Yeah, I mean that is just right on the edge of the blade, isn't it? It's cool though. Swing. Okay, and then let's just go in. Let's turn these guys on. Let's just make all of these as big as we want them to be. Just increasing that max particle size will stop it from being small when we spawn it. There, I mean, it isn't doing that, which is kind of odd. Let's have a look. Let's actually apply overrides. There's an idea. Okay, cool. Let's try it. Yeah, there we go. So now we've got got the full scale of our effect, and it is at a cool angle. Very nice. And yeah, going too long and adjust the gradient, etc. All right, cool. So that means that if we were to, for example, adjust our sword to be so this way, our block is going to come with us, right? And it's going to spawn in the same spot, which is cool. All right, save that. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there for now because I don't know if the stream is working correctly. I haven't streamed to YouTube live before, so we'll check the stream, we'll make sure that it's actually recording. If it is, we'll come back and we'll adjust the effect, and then that will be episode 4. And that'll be that. Okay, cool.